right. And now this thing doesn't fucking play. There we go. All right, morning, everybody. It is Tuesday. It's the 10th of October. I hope you are ready to take on the day and the rest of this week. Pretty damn good that it is light outside. So then that is, what is it? Derrière for this time of year, right?
Look at you.
Francois says, morning from Addis Ababa International Airport. In Ethiopia. All right, there's some interesting people and interesting places on this show. Tell you what.
I would
Listen here
not
long
want to be
enough.
caught dead in Ethiopia.
Why?
What, Mogadishu?
No, Mogadishu, Somalia. Careful,
Somalia.
careful.
My bad. Geography lesson right
Addis
there.
Ababa's fine. And Ethiopia, apart from being at war with Egypt over water, is not a terror. You should listen to African Analysis more.
Hey,
You're missing out.
buongiorno, as JJ would say. So, wait, I'd like to open you with a conspiracy theory because we usually have this chat, right?
You want a conspiracy theory
Yeah,
first?
that's why I'm wearing a hat.
Okay.
So cool. So yesterday,
Should be tinfoil if you're going to do conspiracy theories. But go on.
hey, you need to rock the swag.
Go on.
So anyway, apparently, Senzomayua trial DNA tests were launched yesterday, and then all the suspects, their DNA was not at the crime scene. Explain it to me. Everyone arrested and was suspected.
I don't know what to think of this Senzomayua trial. I don't know what to think of the judge they've replaced. I don't know what to think of, Kelly Kumalo. I don't know what to think
Tefo,
of Advocate Tefo. The whole thing is just so Mickey Mouse. It's like, like if you let children pretend they had a court at nursery school, and then you said to them, make it look like a court. Like, you all wear the right robes, and we do it in an actual courtroom so it looks real. But all of you are actors, and you're pretending, and none of you really knows anything about what's going on. I mean, it's so Mickey Mouse. It's like,
and you don't tell them what the plot is, so you just let them you just unleash them.
If I were his, all I would say, because we can sit and laugh about this, but actually it is a disgusting miscarriage of justice. And if I were the family of Senzomayua, I'd be fucking furious right now. I mean, how many years has this been dragging on? We have nothing but conspiracy theories, right? And you're not wrong, because in the absence of any good information, people will make their own conclusions, even ridiculous ones. So what is your theory if you have a conspiracy theory? Is that the whole thing is nonsense? That the police are involved in deliberately running interference here? That people are so incompetent, because never attribute to malice what can be explained away by incompetence, that they're so incompetent, the police, the criminal justice system as a whole, the witnesses, the lawyers, all of them, that this is just a disaster from beginning to end. We will never get clarity. It's like trying to look into a muddy pool, hoping it'll clear overnight.
So my conspiracy theory is, I know people run away with the Kelly of it all.
Because people are stupid and they are easily distracted.
My conspiracy theory is that we found ourselves with, they messed it up back then. So now they're trying to fix it and they're putting on a show. But their show is crumbling and it's like a bad play.
Well,
I don't think they know what they're doing. I think they arrested the wrong people because they didn't know what. Knock at the door.
We have a knock at the door, which means, we'll have to postpone our discussion on Senzomayua's trial for just a little bit later. It is Tuesday morning, which means it's time for our special guest. Let us see who Ryan introduces to us this morning. Let's take a look. It is Graeme Watkins, everybody.
Good morning.
Hello, Graham.
How are you?
Grab that seat over there. We prefer you over there. Yeah, we want you in prime position.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
How the hell are you, sir?
I'm well, man. I'm magical, actually.
Nice of you to wake up so early and come and join us.
It is frighteningly early. It's like only people that are committed to gym
Oh,
up this early.
You have children, which means that for many years now, you have not been waking up at a time that was convenient for you.
Correct.
Right. So
Correct.
Don't be laying this guilt trip on us. We got you out of the house. Your poor wife is now dealing with the children.
Just shows you how much I love you. I'm committed. I'm committed. But I'm usually up at about 6. I don't get out of bed at 6, but I'm awake.
What a nice surprise. So Graeme Watkins is here, of course, famously from the Graeme Watkins Project. He's been in the studio. The last time you were here was with Nathan Rowe in December last year.
Yeah, we phoned in, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. It was was over December. We were talking complete nonsense. In fact, the last time you were on, we basically went into conspiracy theories.
Which you guys are dealing with
I
right
know,
now.
for like an hour. You
I
and
know.
Nathan and I were talking about the most wacky, weird, bizarre, stupid conspiracy theories,
It was wonderful.
all of which have come true. Oh, dude.
Good.
So what's happening with you?
Yeah, man. My life is incredibly busy at the moment. I've got a lot on my plate, but it's all good things.
That's
It's
excellent.
exciting things.
I'm happy to hear that. You know,
Just getting old.
well, yeah, but you don't look old. You don't look wizened.
Oh, yeah.
You don't look faded.
I look
you
like a
don't
wizard though,
Yeah.
with my graying sides.
No, you look what?
like a white wizard, Harry.
You shall not pass.
So Lord of the Rings, Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
All right, so
Same page.
Two wizards. same.
Graeme Watkins and I got into. I'm going to bring this up straight away because I do think people are, interested in when last we had a conversation, what it might have been about.
Mm.
Because you know what, the best conversations sometimes are not the ones that happen on the show, contrary to popular belief. So I saw him at this event the other day, and he started telling me about the wonders of camping
Yes,
with his children.
correct.
Okay, going camping, as in setting up a tent in the middle of the bush or in a pikey fucking.
You haven't lived, my
reserve.
friend.
I'm going to let you plead all of the great qualities and virtues of camping, and then we will let the audience decide whether you
We'll
have
put up
any
a poll.
point, whether you make any good points at all. And I'm happy to give you the benefit of the doubt, not only because I don't think you're a liar and asshole, but also because, I mean, there are people who've sat in that chair who've been liars and assholes,
Yeah.
but also because you've done this. I haven't. So by virtue of lived experience, which is the, combo buzzword of the 2023-22 era, you can tell us about why is camping? Because I've got a cousin who does this, absolutely loves it. He's bought all the equipment. He and his two kids they love it. His wife loves it. They are so into it.
Yeah.
It's what they do every holiday. They
Yeah.
don't do other holidays. Are you that much into it?
No, okay.
Okay.
I'll confess. Okay, listen, there are two types of camping, right?
Right.
There's the hardcore campers that'll go with they're 4x4s, nothing but a family tent that
With
maybe
a gas primus stove.
primus stoves,
dive
that
for the
whole
wild.
vibe. Right?
Yeah.
And those guys they go out into the wild, there's no cell phone signal, they walk amongst nature, they build their own fires. If it rains, they don't eat. Those guys are hardcore and they love it, right? Okay. And then they shower with the water they collect, and it's a
Yeah.
real holistic thing for them,
Right.
right? And then they're the guys that sort of do the caravanning side of things where it's kind of all in one. It's a mobile home, you tow it behind your car, you unhitch your car, you
It's a real ordeal.
it's an ordeal, but it is. You know what the worst thing about camping?
But you learn a lot. I mean, there is an argument for those people.
Yeah.
Again, I always default to zombie apocalypse, right? So
That's my point. That's it there.
Wait,
If the
wait,
world
what?
ends.
I didn't mean to preempt your point, but if people are in shit, you'd rather know the campers than the 5-star hotel people.
Correct, my friend.
Uh-huh.
When the world
Uh-huh.
eventually goes to poo,
Which you think it might?
it's inevitable.
You think it
okay?
already is? I mean,
It's
some people say it already
Pretty
is.
much.
Okay.
I mean, have you lived in Joburg?
Pretty close.
End
Yeah.
is nigh.
Hey, it's
Right.
coming, man. It's
Right.
coming. And you know what? When it eventually does come, my tent and I'm happily to host you in my tent.
No, I'm good.
Like, he's efficient. He has a gun.
I mean,
He'll protect
yeah.
the water.
look, I don't have a gun.
You see, I have on the hierarchy of people who will survive the apocalypse. All I have to do is be able to kill the people who have tents,
Yes.
and then I'll be all right.
No, you could, man. But you know what? There's certain qualities I love about camping. But the thing I don't enjoy about camping, if I have to be quite honest, is the pack up afterwards. It's a bit of a schlep.
I'm sure
'cause
that's a nightmare.
you've had an
because
awesome
I don't
holiday.
even like packing my bag at the end of a weekend away,
Yeah.
right? Because you just throw everything in, and you're like, all this stuff is dirty.
When you get there, you're excited.
Yeah.
You have 10 pegs in
Well,
the
you've
ground.
planned and you've made lists, and I reckon you wouldn't be able to do the camping though, knowing your wife if she wasn't involved, because she's very efficient.
Yeah, but she also hates it.
She doesn't like it.
She likes glamping, which you rock up the tents there. And
I
then
thought she was in on this.
She sort of kind of is. Her dad is super into it. So him and I are like the best of friends when it comes to I love changing car tires and stuff. Like I get a thrill out of it.
That's a good thing for any man to
That's
get a thrill out
caveman
of
stuff,
doing.
yeah.
No, it's not like cave. Please, Bakh'abantu. What the fuck are you talking about?
No,
Hold
I
on.
like it too. But like,
Caveman.
yeah, but like it's very primal.
Cavemen didn't have cars.
No, but it's very primal. You need to understand.
Oh.
It drives the testosterone like.
Yeah, but it's not primal to change a car. This is how far we've come that now it's considered like some kind of base primitive man thing to change a tire.
Yes,
man.
you don't click your panic button. You just
Okay. Well, then you are representing in that, whether you're doing it out of parody or out of honesty, exactly what's wrong with men today. Because I mean, we don't know whether we could fucking change a light bulb without checking with health and safety.
But you know, there's a very, I can't remember the name of the book now, but there's an interesting book where this guy, he goes to this, I don't know if he goes to a planet. Anyway, long story short, he goes to this civilization where they know nothing. And he thinks to himself like, damn, like I have all this knowledge and these skills. I come from the future. But then he realizes quite quickly that he actually doesn't know how to do anything. He can't recreate any of those things. And all he can do is make a sandwich.
Well, so this is a very good point. And I think we must look into this a little bit because I think, and we'll get back to camping in a second.
Yeah.
I think that people have very few people who are alive now in modern society and civilization, which has all the virtues. Don't get me wrong. We want to be able to connect wirelessly, communicate with each other, do things like this show, be able to glean information from doing a little search on your magic light box here. All of that stuff is fantastic. The fact that you could drive into a place and have them change your tire because you don't want to get your hands dirty in your fancy suit because you're going to a meeting to talk about marketing or whatever.
the merger.
Right. Or yeah.
Or pivoting.
Pivoting. We're pivoting my business from a fintech business to anyway.
Let's put a pin on it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I really think plumbers and electricians and nurses and engineers listen to this shit and they just start laughing because if you suddenly were transported into the past, all of the stuff that you think makes you more knowledgeable now, you couldn't cure disease. You wouldn't know how to make an antibacterial or antimicrobial anything. So even though you know that's what's causing the disease, fuck all you could do about it.
You'd just be a word magician. You'd be like, okay, the guy's got an idea, but how do we solve it?
They'd say this guy is just talking a lot of shit.
He's a wizard. He's a wizard.
We should burn him.
We should burn him.
We should definitely burn him because he's talking a huge stinking pile of shit. And even if you predicted events as they happen, there's going to be a lunar eclipse.
You're dead.
Difference between you and the guys who did that back then is they knew the rest of the people.
Yeah.
You would be out of your depth.
Yeah.
You'd be like saying stuff and they'd be going, definitely an evil magician.
Yeah.
A witch.
Yeah.
Burn.
Gavin is spot on, but this cat is just needs to be burnt.
We like Gavin who climbs to the top of the hill with a piece of black
Strikes himself with light.
quartz, and you're like, it's all right. The camping, your kids love it.
Yeah. That my kids do love it, and it's so nice because we're a little bit confined living in our behind our gates,
Yeah.
and I get terrified when my kids go to the gates. I don't know why, but it is the thing.
No, you're probably not wrong. I mean, there's a lot of parenting, my friend. It
terrifies me.
I have nothing but respect for those parents who are genuinely doing their best because, my God, there's no guidebook, and every kid is different. I mean, I just look at my two nephews, and I'm like, you're raising these two kids. They're raised by the same parents in the same house with the same genetic material, and they are so different.
Same values.
Their needs are so different. Everything about them, their personalities. And I think, wow, it's difficult to be a parent because now you have to serve these two very different needs all the time. And thank God for whatever it's worth. And it's worth a lot. My little nephews are both physically, mentally able. They don't have learning difficulties.
Yeah, it is a blessing.
Imagine how much harder life would be if you had a kid who had autism or, or was born with a gammy leg or something. I mean, you can laugh about it, but it could happen.
I know, I'm laughing at the medical term, the gammy leg.
I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
Fucking like a clubfoot.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
whatever.
see, there you
Still
go.
happens.
Yes,
Still happens. Hunchback.
Yeah.
Happens.
But I must say, my boys are polar opposites to each other. They are completely different.
How old are they now?
10 and 7.
Okay, so that's exactly where my
eldest is turning 11
amazing.
now. He's like got a crush on manga characters. It's
Yeah.
it's become a thing now.
Okay.
You'll probably kill me for putting that on air.
No, but
anyway.
don't tell him.
I won't tell
Don't let him listen to this show. It's
I won't.
inappropriate.
It
for
is
kids.
inappropriate for kids anyway. Yeah, but just going back on the whole, can you do things?
What can you do?
I'm very lucky.
What are you useful for?
I'm very lucky. I grew up with a father who was a carpenter. Very hands-on. I was involved in all of the builds.
That's why you can set up all the audio equipment at an event. I've seen you do this. Even though you are the star at a lot of these things, you're the singer, you're the performer, you're being paid for that. But you also he's the kind of guy who can do the whole thing. The wire, cabling, the fucking desk, the speakers, the microphones, balance the sound. You could do all of that.
I can.
You're a can-do guy.
I can do guy. I mean, when my wife and I bought a really old rundown house as a passion project. I mean, I wouldn't have bought it had it not been for her vision. And together we set about renovating this place, and I built a boma.
That's so much fun, hey?
It is so much fun.
I see.
It's so much fun.
My sister and her boyfriend do this too. They've bought their first house 2 years ago. They are so into this home improvement thing.
It's a magical thing.
You know what's so great about it is like you can't change the world, right? But you can. You can make your house as lovely as you'd like it to be, and you don't need to spend gazillions. You don't need to have a massive budget. It's like
that's what I'm really good at.
I'm going to go to the hardware store. I'm going to buy a couple of planks of wood. I'm going to make this shelf or something.
Yeah,
and you feel so accomplished after that. I haven't done stuff like that for a while. I feel like that's part of my problem right now.
That's where the think box thing comes into play. I mean, I Google everything. How do I do that? And then you watch a guy do it, and then you do it. And sometimes like the other day, I tried to rewire my jacuzzi and electrocuted myself. But I learned
badly.
No, fairly. Yeah, I was fine. The jacuzzi wasn't, but I was.
Well, it explains the hair. The electrocution.
Oh, is that why this interesting new color we've got going?
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's not just like the children.
No, it's not. No, that's yeah. But I mean, it was a learning curve, and now I know not to do that.
When you go camping, one of the big no-nos for me is the fact that you don't have running water. I don't mind the electricity part because we've all got used to living without electricity. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, every South African is like, oh, please. If the entire everybody else goes, what if we had a total power grid failure? And I go, we'd be fine. We'd manage.
We have a total power grid failure.
I mean, like, most of us are used to having to throw out all the food in the fridge and freezer every couple of days anyway.
You just throw a huge party and then eat
it. Water's a thing. And if you're camping and you don't have like the tank with the water, and you go to a lot of these places, they have the ablution facilities, right?
Yeah.
It frightens the hell out of me to have to share a block of toilets.
Yep.
I feel like I'd be in a
prisoner
of war camp. It's a bit dorm roomy, That's not nice. Reminds me of, we used to go on these trips at school, primary school still, so it might have been during the apartheid era.
Okay.
Really. And they would like, and we'd go to these places, which I think like that old government thought, no, we must raise these children to be tough and self-sufficient, which I'm not entirely unhappy about. Right?
Yeah.
But they, again, would have this dorm type setup, but like literally just brick walls, concrete floors, toilet,
a
long trough type basin.
Yes.
Which can double as
a urinal.
You're right. It doubles as urinal and as cattle trough should you need to turn it into a farm overnight for
which
emergency meat supplies.
Which was plan B.
Which was plan B.
That.
Yeah. So these places, and again, like there are campsites and there are campsites, right? I'm speaking from no experience.
You're 100% right.
So they're good ones that you would go back to, but there are other ones that you've been to that you're like.
So I'll give you a secret. When you shower in those things, my biggest fear is athlete's foot. I've never had it, but the word frightens me. I'm just like, the fungal infection. That scares me. All right. And
someone told me about that at the gym once, and I had to actually get it out of my head, or I would never have been able to.
So I
am still uncomfortable.
I only ever shower in slops.
Yeah,
I wear my slops.
I think that makes a difference, though. If the athlete's foot can climb up the slop, it can.
Yeah. Also, it's like it's airborne, so it doesn't make a difference, but it at least makes me calm.
I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I feel like I'm rubberized. It's there.
You tell me it's airborne?
No, it becomes like aerosols or whatnot. It's a fungus, so it's spores. Yeah.
Oh, that's so gross.
That means you can get athlete's foot on your Johnson.
So you can get it on your Johnson.
People have it on their face.
So you wear the slops and you think that it's like a magic And
Hey
the
man,
illiterate.
slops and a bar of soap, I'm bulletproof.
You think
I'm 100% bulletproof. But also remember, you can camp near a stream, so you can go for a swim there.
Which-
Wait. In
which
South Africa,
streams in South Africa are water? Forget about the like
The ones closer to like the mountains and more in the wildernessy
where
type
no
thing.
people live.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
very
look,
simple.
and you never wash downstream from a village. I mean, if you see a bottle come
So
past
you go as high as you go,
yeah,
and
you
then
can.
you get the
yeah.
fresh water.
I mean, if you go to the Berg, for example, I mean, there's such beautiful streams and little rivers up there that are fresh water. You can drink it. I mean, it's crystal clear. It's crystal clear
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. And it is. And then, you know what's something so nice about being in nature, because it really does rejuvenate you. And I know there's the elements of the schlep of having to pack up and do that and that. But once you're there, it's incredible. It's incredible.
So what I hear you're saying, Mr. Graeme, is that don't go chasing waterfalls.
Absolutely.
Stick to the rivers and streams that you know.
Yeah.
Tracy says you arrive, pull up the handbrake, plug in the van, and you're good to go. Camper vans are awesome.
Yeah.
No.
So one of the best trips I've ever done is in an RV.
Oh yeah. I've heard about this.
And that was rock and roll. I went with my family. There were 3 RVs. We drove in convoy, and we drove all the way through Zanin and goodness knows where. And it was the best trip I've ever done. You would sort of drive around in your house, and then you just park wherever you are and get in and go sleep. It was amazing.
So a couple of comments here from people. First of all, compliment to you. Somebody here says, Jules says, Graeme looking mighty fine.
Yep.
So there we are.
Thank you.
You know, it's good to get a compliment every now and then. Hang on, is this Jesus? Says Carl.
Really? Do I look like that?
Did you say something very Jesus-like? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to scroll it back in my head.
I am a rather profound human.
Yes.
There we are. Slippery Pickle says, Graeme Watkins, my tires need rotating if you're available.
Absolutely. As long as they're not flat, my sweetheart.
The worst is if it rains and then you have to pack up the wet stuff and having to air everything out when you get
Yes.
home.
I tell you what, being caught in the rain is a cuck thing.
Mm.
And often when I go to Durban, we sometimes go and camp next to the sea. And that can be horrible. Huh? That can really be horrible.
Well, but you take your chances. It's part of the adventure is you can't predict the weather.
Correct.
And you do suddenly realize like how thin the veneer of civilization is. Again, like, I don't want to make a huge thing about this again, like I did yesterday. I am absolutely distracted by what's going on in Israel at the moment. And we're not going to have a political discussion this morning because I don't think there's any value to it. And hearing my opinion and this is not going to change a goddamn thing. But you're either on the side of civilization or you're not. And if you're not on the side of civilization, you'd better be able to survive without like a roof over your head. And you'd better be able to get along without electricity and water. And if that's how you choose to live, then I also know that you're probably my enemy. The thing people don't say very often these days, because everyone's encouraged to be all compassionate, understanding. We're meant to take both sides of every story. It's like, no, all the greatest stories in human history are actually about people allying themselves with certain people and being very clear about who their enemies are.
Correct. Yeah.
And sometimes the enemies of civilization need defeating. And that's what World War I and World War II and so many other major conflicts in human history were about. But of course, people don't read history.
Yep.
So we tend to make it very Disney in our head.
Yeah.
We tend to think everybody's going to get along if we all just tolerate and accept it. It's a small, small world.
We were friends all along
Right.
at the end.
And it's just not how it works. I'm sorry to, break the glass in case of emergency, but like it's really, civilization is paper thin, and it is held together by this general agreement among people
This
to
social
behave in a
contract.
certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when people stop behaving in that way, then you have to get used to drying out tents after not a holiday, but that's where you'll live, in a refugee camp, because that's how humans all over the world have lived when they haven't understood the impact and the magnitude of what can go wrong.
And it's not just, a 4-man tent. I mean, there you're talking hundreds of people under one.
It's appalling. And those are not sanitary. You're worried about athlete's foot. There's many worse things that'll get you there.
Can I just jump in on this camping talk, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have, so Mr. Graeme, you have sold your side of camping. Gareth is probably opposed to this, even though he was camping last week when he didn't have water in his big mansion.
I'll convert him yet.
No, I will refuse to go camping. I've gone camping twice in my life. I did this thing in high school called Landsteins.
What's that?
Land service. Landsteins.
Oh, that sounds like something everyone should do.
Yeah, so we're just like, we're just lit in the bush, like with a tent, had a sleeping bag. Yeah, you just near the river, near the fish. We just lit in the wild. Yeah, it was terrible. It rained. We didn't put up our tent properly. So like, I didn't know there was a sail that goes on top of the tent, the top, right? The waterproof top.
You see that? You were just misinformed.
But like, I've never been camping in my life. A little black boy, grade 7.
But no one tells you this stuff.
They never tell you this stuff. You see,
no.
I learned the lesson the hard way, right?
All right.
Cool.
But you never forget. You're talking about it now.
Exactly.
Because,
Second time I went camping when I went to the mountain as a closer man. No. That's when I was like, nah, guys, hotels. So I see the comments talking about, camping is life. No, camping is not life, guys. We are a civilization. We have moved past those days.
Do you know what benefits us as South Africans is that we are fortunate to have exceptionally good weather and beautiful wilderness, right?
That's true.
And of course, Europe as well has beautiful wilderness, but the weather is horrific.
Yeah.
And I know camping in the rain isn't amazing. You do get wet and things get soggy and mud. You track mud through everything. And I'm a bit of a guy, like as soon as there's excessive dirt, I start getting
a bit antsy.
Yeah, and I'm just you just
like,
demotivates
the mud
slightly.
Between your toes feeling.
Unless.
For a day, I would be okay with, and if there's an adventure part of it.
Yes,
listen, I'm not like some kind of, oh no, I don't put a foot outside without shoes on kind of thing. I grew up on a farm, so I'm absolutely okay with that stuff. But for a holiday, and also the other thing about this is, can you afford to stay in a 5-star hotel, or can you afford to stay in a 2-star hotel? And if a 2-star hotel's shit, you may as well camp.
Yeah.
I mean, like, at least then you have your own
Well,
stuff.
for one night in a 2-star hotel, you can buy a tent.
Yeah, okay.
For 2 nights in a 2-star hotel, you can buy a tent and you can buy a skortel. For those people who don't know what
skortel's a good thing for breakfast.
Yeah.
That I will not deny.
Yeah.
I mean, after those 2 experiences you just spoke about, Bakh'abantu, you're not like in a hurry to do this again.
No.
Are you totally put off?
I am totally put off.
So you'll never give it a chance?
No.
So you've only ever tented? You've never caravanned or...
No, I've never caravanned. The closest we came to caravanning was like burgerstrantes. Yeah, also, again, terrible. All these Afrikaans terms that we were just like learned. So I grew up in an Afrikaans town. Don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
So like, we're very like apartheid regime vibe. So I know the trough that you guys are talking about, where the water in the basin doubles up as water to clean up the
Can I pose a question very quickly? So do you think that the younger generation, including myself, and I think you as well, who kind of missed the army, that kind of conscription
just a
thing?
bunch of weaklings.
Yeah.
But the army kind of prepped a lot of guys for everything.
You learn basic skills. I mean, part of being in the military was that you obviously learned to handle a firearm. You learn to deal with various skills in the bush. It's almost like, did you ever do like Cub Scouts?
Yeah.
Okay,
I was big into that, Joe.
Yeah, so you need to learn to tie certain knots. You need to learn to be able to patch something if your shirt rips. Those are things that most people can't do. They can't do these basic things. All those things that you got a badge for that we used to laugh at when we were at primary school and high school, all those things that actually give you an ability to fix things and be practical in the real world.
Efficient also.
Yeah, I mean, all of those skills have been now. They've been outsourced to people who are specialists at them, and I don't know that that's all that good or necessary. Because again, should the edifice of civilization be chipped away just even slightly, it would be kind of helpful if you had someone in your house who could sew. And it would be helpful if you had someone who knew how to purify water.
Yeah.
And it would be helpful if you had someone in the house who could handle a firearm. And it would be helpful if you had someone in the house who could repair a shoe or make a box out of wood or something else. I mean, these are things that I guarantee you the average guy in South Africa under the age of, let's say, 40 is not going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Not without a Google or YouTube tutorial going as he's doing it. And then, even then he'll still fuck it up because he's never actually had wood and nails and hammers in his hands.
And keep in mind, most guys that can build stuff with out of wood or whatever it is require machinery, which requires electricity.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm very fortunate as well.
Like modern carpenters, they don't know how to use
my
the
dad
old
taught me how to
tools.
whittle and stuff like that, and how to use a chisel.
You can whittle?
Yeah, with a lathe and stuff like that.
Oh,
but
you know how to use a plane? And all that
I
stuff.
do. I'm
That's
not very
good shit,
good at
dude.
it, but
No, that's good. That's really good shit.
That's the Jesus moment. Carpenter.
The carpenter. Because your dad is a carpenter.
Carpenter.
I get
Okay.
it.
Yes.
Okay. Who in their right mind spends thousands of rands to spend a week shitting in a bucket? That's what caravanning is in my mind, says Congo Chris.
Thank you, Kaga Chris. One convertee.
Zama says, first 2 days of the Otter Trail hike, they tell you not to drink the water from the streams because of the villages upstream.
Yeah, but you see, I didn't have a guide at the time.
So after 2 days, it's fine.
Carl says, I work way too hard to sleep on the floor. Fuck that.
Thank you.
Congo Chris says, who knew Cliff Central is populated by a bunch of beta males? Camping is fun, not because it's easy, but because it is hard. You sound like Robert F. Kennedy. We do these things and not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Oh, that's Kennedy voice. Have you heard his son though? He's
He announced.
I don't know what he ended up with some. He had some kind of disease that screwed up his voice. Robert Kennedy. So he sounds almost like those dogs who've had their voice boxes removed.
He sounds like.
Do
you remember Funkhauser? He sounds like Funkhauser.
Marty Funkhauser, but it's worse with him.
It's worse, yeah.
And I like Robert Kennedy Jr. for what it's worth. He seems to be very anti-establishment. He's a wacky guy in some ways, but he certainly makes a lot of sense in others.
Free thought,
sure. Comes from a long line of of Kennedys who have tried and sometimes won, but most often failed. Many who have died during the process. Yeah. It's a very tricky thing being a Kennedy. And he's going to run. I mean, he's going to run as an independent, as you put it. So is that useful to the Democrats or the Republicans?
I told you this. This is like he's going to steal votes from both sides.
Right.
He's a perfect moderate. He's what they need, but it's still a two-man race.
Anyway, so Congo Chris, before we went into complete diversion about the Kennedys, who knew Cliff Central is populated by beta males? Camping is fun not because it is easy, because it's hard. The better you prepare, the more you know about bushcraft, the more fun you have. Okay, all right. Calm down, Bear Grylls. Camping is not for everyone, says Nico. But to give yourself the best chance, be prepared. And go, semper paratus, be prepared, right?
Be prepared.
Camped my entire life and still love it. Not in a caravan, though. You see, it's also, there are camping levels and gradations.
Yeah.
And a caravan camper will not necessarily, they will look down on a tent camper. But the RV camper will look down on the caravan and the tent camper. And then there are different.
But they're different. It's like being a doctor. They just specialize in different things, you know?
Yeah, because camping is like being a doctor.
Exactly the same. It's literally the same.
Like 8 years of
I think the caravan guys, they just put on a bit of Bon Jovi, throw their keys in a fishbowl and, take the night away. So I think that's quite a large draw card for most caravans.
Okay, just to clarify. Do it, learn the life skills. I know how to do all this stuff. I know how to slaughter. I know how to this, but this is, again, afforded by my growing up in a village.
So you're grateful for that?
Yeah, I am grateful for that. Like, I know how to fix a light bulb. I know how
you can screw it in, but fixing it, I think, would be quite a challenge.
No, you can't replace the tungsten filament.
Hey, you don't know what I do. You know what I do in my back room there.
You're actually replacing that? Good luck.
Exactly.
Where do you get the argon to put in the glass ampule?
You see, you don't know this stuff. I know how to do this stuff. But anyway, I'm grateful for that stuff. But you need to know what you don't like, though. So
listen,
go camping.
So I gave you a lot of shit the last time we were talking, and I was like, what would you want to do that for? Actually, as a family holiday, I think it's really good for the kids as well, because they get to experience a different sort of thing.
Completely.
And they love it, right? They love the idea that this is us out in the wild. For some reason, it's way more magical and exciting to a kid.
Definitely. And when you experience
staying in a hotel,
you experience it through their eyes.
Yeah.
It's quite an amazing thing. And I mean, you like myself, grew up on a farm. I had the most amazing upbringing. Where
did you grow up again?
Cape Town. Yeah, and running
a
through
very famous farm.
Yeah, no, not a very famous farm, not at all. It was a small holding out in a place called Philippi, which is now not what it used to be.
Okay.
But anyway, like a lot of small holdings, a lot of small farmers, agricultural.
Sure.
And I was just left to run free with
dude.
the animals,
I often talk
and my
about
dog.
Yeah, and
is magic.
that was the best thing. And I know that this also sounds like us being a little bit nostalgic, but I remember getting home from school, and this is during the week. Weekends is even more crazy. So during the week, get home from school, as long as we were back before the sun went down.
Absolutely.
My parents were fine with it. And we didn't have phones. So there was no way, like up a mountain, down at the river, building a fort, falling out of a tree, making a swing, doing all these crazy things.
Chasing ducks and chickens.
Yeah.
Collecting eggs.
And shooting stuff with a pellet gun and God knows what else. I mean, we were really like having a lot of fun. And I don't think a lot of people have, people talk about privilege and all that shit these days. Like it's a resource thing. But like space is another thing that people take for granted if they have it, but if they don't have it, they don't realize how much they miss it. So if you actually have the room to roam around as a kid and explore, that's a hell of a privilege. Also, if you actually have parents who are not like hovering over you the whole time, and I understand that these days parents have to be a lot more vigilant because of things like social media, and especially in urban environments, there are a lot of fucking weird people around, right?
But you can become a helicopter parent, which is quite a dangerous thing. I think. You just like the whole time around you.
I know lots of people who are like that. Kids are always a disaster when that happens because they don't grow up.
Yeah,
they become completely dependent on their parents for the rest of their lives. And there's this funny like guilt thing that starts to develop there too, because then they start to worry about their parents, and they don't actually ever leave the nest, which is, I mean, it's terrible. Listen, if you're still staying at home with your folks in your 30s, there's a big problem. And there are a lot of people who are, like, especially in places like America at the moment, they either can't afford to move out, or they just lack the ability to actually take on their own independent life. That's a big problem.
And the real world is quite scary, especially when you haven't been given the opportunity to go and explore it in small mouthfuls as you know.
But I mean, good thing that we were able to just fuck around.
Yeah, it was magic.
We wanted
Absolutely.
to do.
I mean, I learned how to ride a horse bareback, which is just a weird thing.
That's pretty cool.
So I was just grabbed the horse one day, got onto it, and rode
no
around.
Bridle, no anything,
saddle, no
Nothing.
towel.
And then I tried it on my donkey, and I got kicked.
Yeah, but isn't a donkey a wonderful thing?
It is.
Like, people are mean about donkeys, and whenever I see them, like on the side of the road in some dusty part of South Africa, I always think, oh, shame. But
there is a sadness that follows a donkey.
It's a sad animal. Like, it's like, this thing works hard, right?
And it doesn't stop working.
Gets none of the respect a horse gets.
No.
None.
No.
And I always look at a donkey's face, and you kind of get the impression they're like, you must have been a horse that did something terrible in your previous life.
And then you look at a zebra, which is like a donkey that's just had a bit of plastic surgery. It's just wearing a nice outfit, so it gets all the glitz and the glam, but it's basically a donkey. And I'm just like, the donkey just got the short end of the stick. But I do love donkeys.
I love them too, and they are an essential part of like the South African geography. You see donkeys in all these little towns in the middle of nowhere, and you think, wow, these are the hardworking. these are the creatures at the bottom of the food chain in terms of like hard stuff to do, pulling carts and logs and all God knows what else.
Filled to the brim. With as much stuff as that thing could possibly pull.
It's like those buckies that you see sometimes, but the back of the bucky, the bumper is like scraping on the ground because so much shit on the back. You know, the ones that the Metro Police pull over in Joburg. You see them on the side of the highway, and you're like, that's a normal little, like a bantam bucky, but it won't fit under a bridge with the amount of stuff piled on top of it.
It's a 1 ton, but it's carrying 7.
And donkeys are always stretched.
Donkeys are basically bantam buckies.
Wow, we've jumped around a lot. It's only, it's 20 to 7, and we've pretty much talked about 1,000 things already. This is going to be a very busy morning. I have a feeling. Okay, so got a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about. I don't really want to talk about music too much, because we've discussed that before, and obviously that's your day job still, and you still, I see you and Nathan and Loy are still doing some stuff together as well with Swing City.
Yeah, lots of Swing
That's still
City.
going?
Yeah, still.
And this is peak time of year, right?
Correct. Yeah, lots of carols and stuff like that could be coming
Yeah.
up now with Christmas. But
Right.
Swing City's absolutely pumping. Doing
That's
a lot
great,
doing a
dude.
lot in Europe as well. Funnily enough.
Oh, good. Tell me
yeah.
about that. That's
No,
different.
just our algorithm and our Spotify's and stuff like that have just seen a massive spike in that side of the world for some reason. And some Russian guy put us on YouTube, and then boom, it just suddenly started happening. So that's very exciting.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
And are you getting bookings there as well, or is it just?
So
like,
we're planning on potentially getting out there, but the rand is just an ugly thing. And to
wow.
and with the live band, it's quite a large outfit to travel with. You've got about 7 or 8 people, and then the 3 of us. So you're looking at about 11 people, and then you've got to accommodate them.
And of
stuff
course, you are very happy to fly economy, but Nathan and Loy very, very like only business class.
Only business. No, of course we're the most rock and roll guys. But I mean it's quite amazing because we've done no real marketing on that side. There's been no real push. We've got an agent over there. One of our managers has recently relocated over there, and she's immigrated. And she's doing a bit of groundwork now. And in our future, maybe going out there. But I do think it's going to happen because judging by the listeners, it's very cool.
That's fantastic news.
Yeah.
It's good when you discover like a whole new market. They discover you. There's a whole lot of excitement going on there. It's potentially like room for expansion. I love the idea of growth and success. There's nothing worse than like, this is where we are. This is what we've got, especially because South Africa's market's so small.
It is very small.
Like the number of people who actually pay for stuff is tiny.
Yeah. And remember, within that small market are these little sort of microcosms of their own. So it's like the Afrikaans guys will feed those ones. Yeah, exactly. So you're kind of within a pool, within a pool, within a pool.
How do you figure out that Afrikaans market? It's I still don't understand it. I've been to 2 shows in my life that I was invited by a friend of mine who is a singer, and it's like it's like I've walked into an alien planet. Like I'm not, listen, I've got Afrikaans friends and family. I speak the language, but I just felt completely alien at these things. The way the audience, they all know the words.
And they are devoted.
Beyond devoted. Dude, and they will, and they're into it. Like it's proper. They love it. It's passionate. It's real. I just feel like I'm watching the aliens and I should know that I can identify with this culture, but I feel completely disconnected with Afrikaans.
So we recently, as Swing City, did Boss in Nelspruit.
Yeah, that's a apparently very different world too.
I was shocked. Firstly, we got onto stage, 2 Englishmen.
Yeah.
To 72,000.
Jesus.
Afrikaans.
It's got to be like one of the biggest crowds you've done,
right? Gigantic. I when I say a sea of people, I've never seen anything like that. But so captivated and so into it.
They love the music.
They love the music.
They're actually there for the music. Not like some of these festivals where it's drugged up hippies who really couldn't care less. You could put a monkey with 2 tambourines on the stage and they would still be like dancing around, pretending they're having the best
Bob
time
Dylan,
ever.
basically.
Yeah.
And they were just into it. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, we're falling here. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. And Nathan, being Nathan, had the confidence to walk out there, say a couple of grappies. And then next thing, we were basically headline acts for 5 minutes.
I'm so happy to hear that, though. That's awesome. I love the fact that there are still places that we can pull 70,000 people.
And they'll all come to you afterwards. They congratulate you and say, what a great show. Thank you very much.
And well-mannered.
Yeah, absolutely magnificent.
Nice, friendly people. It's not...
but like all of them had guns, I'm pretty sure of that as well. Well, almost all of them.
That is probably one of the reasons that I know that we'll be okay in South Africa, because these people, they're not going to let everything fall to pieces. There are people like all of us in town, and we're like, oh, I hope there's not another pothole tomorrow. Those kind of oaks go out and they fix the pothole themselves, Boer maak 'n plan style. Like in your little town that you come from.
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
These guys get shit done. Anyway, Durban is not a paying for music stuff zone. It's about experience, not the financial loss for the band. Well, I think that's an interesting point. Like, what Slippery Pickle's saying there is like, I remember when big artists would come out, concerts. I remember I introduced Robbie Williams at that, what, Kings Park, is it?
I was
No,
just about
Kings
to
Park
bring that
Stadium.
up. Yeah.
And a quarter of the place was full. Durban's like, yay.
Do you know that that's the reason he couldn't call his show, his world tour, sold out?
Because of South African, but because of Durban.
Durban.
I used to, for whatever it's worth. I haven't been there for a while. I'm not really in a hurry to get back, but I used to love Durban's attitude. It was always fun, like festive, summery. Like there was always an energy to it.
It was.
But they don't spend money. Maybe they don't have money. I know, but they don't spend money. And I know so many people who just won't. Comedians won't go there. Some of them, obviously, some will. Musicians. Like, what places have you played that you talk about Nell Sprayton and Annie Bos being amazing? What places have you been to that have been absolutely shit? And I know you don't want to cut yourself out of
not
potentially
at all.
future
Not
gigs
at
here,
all.
but like,
You know,
if they called you tomorrow and said, "Hey, listen, do you want to come to like Velcom?" and you're like, "Nah, it's okay. I'd rather spend the weekend at home."
Well, Durban, when I'm talking, 10 years ago now, Durban when the indie rock scene was at its prime, they were very, very loyal and used to go to Durban, and you always did well. You'd either go to the various festivals in Durban, and it was good, Now I agree with you. Durban has become a little bit less inclined to come out and enjoy a night. I find Cape Town quite a challenging market as well. I think they're a little bit, it's weird. Like unless you're Bon Iver,
Who the hell's that?
they won't come and see.
Who's that?
I'm also last.
You don't know who Bon Iver is?
No, what the fuck is Bon Iver? Sounds like something that's
Bon Iver.
I don't know what that is.
You keep
Is it
saying it
a
all over again.
fridge?
He's the
Is
guy.
it a fruit? Is it a vegetable?
No, it's a band.
Animal, mineral?
He won a Grammy. He's pretty big, and he won it a
No.
while
How do you
ago.
spell this?
Bon Iver.
Bon Iver.
How do you spell? How do you spell?
Bonivor, I think it is.
No, God, is this a thing? Oh wow, it's like a bald dude.
Yeah. He sings like in a falsetto with the auto-tuner vibes thing on. It's very cool. Go listen to it. It's amazing.
American indie folk band founded in 2006 by singer-songwriter Justin Vernon. Had originally formed Bon Iver as a solo project, but eventually became a band. Wow. Okay,
Do yourself a favor. Go listen to it.
I will
It's very
admit
cool.
to you, I think I'm fairly well-read. I'm fairly aware and awake. This is a completely novel idea to me. This is like if, we'd gone back to 1600 and you'd brought up the atom.
So
I
you're
can't
saying
believe you don't know
you
this.
say we should
Never.
burn this man. We should burn the wizard.
I've never heard of Bon Iver. So this guy is big in Cape Town, is he?
Well, he's big in the kind of like the
Folk
the
music.
hipster.
Oh.
That kind of hipster feel kind of thing. And Cape Town's very hipster, right? So unless you
Oh,
do a very
wow.
specific genre of music, you're not really going to go. And then the other side of it is the four on the floor club, maybe saxophonist DJ kind of vibe that does that sort of deep housey tropical house thing on the beach. So again, South Africa is, like you say, quite compartmentalized. I must say, Bloemfontein's a great place to go. There's a place there called the Arsewil, the Vulture Club, which is an absolute jewel. An absolute jewel.
All right.
Yeah, but Joburg, you can't go wrong with Joburg. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the clubs have all closed down,
Yeah,
and that was because of COVID. But I think it was coming.
It wasn't because of COVID, because of government decisions during COVID. That's
correct. Yeah,
I
but I
always
think
have
it was
to correct
coming.
people, because every time we give them a free pass on this, we lay the groundwork for them fucking up again.
Yep.
Yes.
And we have to remind everyone in South Africa every time we can just how fatal a lot of those stupid decisions that government made were.
Don't get me started.
No. I remember when we spoke last year, you and Nathan and I, we were talking about conspiracy theories, but we were also talking about how the entertainment business was hollowed out.
Yeah.
It was completely hollowed out. So if you were a talented musician, comedian, performer, theater's dead. Like there's just none of it's ever survived like to the level that it was before. And we've had a lot of comedians in here recently, and some of them say, "Oh no, it's back. It's definitely back." It's not at the levels it was
Never.
before. And also people have way less money now.
Yeah.
Disposable
it's
income
different.
is,
It's different.
is something that not many people have, and they can't go and enjoy themselves like they used to, which is a sad, sad thing, really.
Some people are laughing, saying hippie Cape Town. Ha ha ha, says Nico.
Yeah, Cape Town is very international. I was going to say that because if you're catering for a very niche market, Cape Town is not it. Hey, you need to be a Bon Iver, I guess.
I'm amazed. I have no idea who this is.
I thought you were like Bon Jovi. Wait, no.
I mean,
Bon
he's just done a
Wow.
song with Taylor Swift as well, but it's
Sweet.
weird.
Well, he's not some like sad dude from a shitty little town who's just been uncovered. He's been around for a while.
Guys won a Grammy.
He's won a Grammy. Holy shit, he has. I'm looking at this now. He's won a Grammy.
Yeah.
He's performed with like plenty of really big and amazing people. And this article goes on and on
I see
and
he's
on.
done soundtracks to movies I know.
Sweet Jesus, I had no idea about
Yeah,
this.
it's very cool. I like
Wow. Okay, what else can you teach me? This is interesting.
it.
So camping,
Degree in
Bon Iver.
miscellany. Yeah, I mean, I'm learning stuff from you this morning,
All
Graeme
right.
Watkins. This is very exciting.
Cool. I'm actually quite shocked that you don't know who he is, and I mean, I'm not questioning
No.
your music prowess, but I mean,
Yes,
this
he
is-
doesn't
I'm
have
embarrassed that I don't. This is not some nobody. I should know this. I'm very, very upset with myself.
yeah, and he's actually very, very good. I mean, he's not. I suppose he's not for everybody, but if you do know him and you enjoy him, he's great for putting on in the background.
Okay.
He's very chilled. It's
what do you listen to?
I've got quite a broad spectrum. I enjoy jazz. I do.
You do?
I do. I like listening
So-
to jazz.
Camping, jazz. You and I have very little in common.
Yeah. I found a new, well, it's not new, but I mean, I love lo-fi as well. You know what lo-fi is?
Low fidelity sound.
Yes, but the genre of music, lo-fi.
No, what is it? Just recorded at 8-bit.
No, no, no. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this breakbeat, modern jazz, but more dancey. It's like chilled vibes. It's very cool.
Do you know what this is?
I like how the Venn diagram between you two just keeps moving
Yeah,
apart.
we're very different. Like I get along with this guy very well, but totally different interest.
I don't know.
Lo-fi,
I
very
don't know
cool.
what lo-fi is.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know either.
You guys, you
Well,
live in a
it's
box.
It's an education session, I
okay,
guess.
so I feel very stupid now. There's two things that I didn't understand at all, but it's fine. I mean, neither of them mean anything or matter. At
No,
all
they
to me.
matter very little.
But
Look, I wouldn't be burnt at the stake had I told you about them.
no, I would
100
have
years
just
ago.
thought you were high.
Yeah. Oh, he's been drinking again, hasn't he?
Making up words
Yeah,
like
lo-fi is
Bon
very
Iver
cool.
and lo-fi. What's
And
wrong
I-
with you?
Okay, the 1975. Do you know that band?
No. Who's the 1975?
Oh, my friend, what a great
wow,
band!
this is. I'm like in a parallel universe.
The 1975.
Are you sure you're not from the past? The 1975. What are they?
They're an indie British pop band. Unbelievable. Like he's one of the greatest songwriters I've had the
One of
privilege.
the greatest songwriters you've ever heard. And
Lyricists,
I know nothing about this guy.
Look, he's quite tough to
I
understand
must be
sometimes.
stupid as hell then. And I'm so out of it then in music because I thought I had a good music knowledge, but clearly not.
No, exactly. Me
Okay,
too.
Most,
I thought I was
most
cultured.
I must be honest with you. My wife has an unbelievable music knowledge. Like,
Really?
in music trivia,
Oh, yeah.
she's the one you want on 30 Seconds team.
Really? She knows
She's
all that stuff. Huh? She'll tell you the guitarist from this band.
Yeah, and
When this album was released and all that
yes,
shit.
she's that.
Really?
She's like that. She's
That's a special weapon in a game of
it
like,
is.
pub quiz.
But the problem is she applies that to her everyday life. So a fight with her is just impossible. She will tell me the time,
You're being just like
date,
you mean she's got a memory like a
what I was
elephant.
wearing, how many
Really?
sips I'd had out of the glass. I'm like, damn it, I want to win.
That's an incredible thing, hey.
Yeah, and
Like
then
a
it makes
good
you feel
memory is-
dumb.
But a good memory is good and bad.
Yeah.
The good side of it is that you can recall stuff and you can tell when other people are talking shit. And you have a better, but that is also a huge Achilles heel because it means that they don't remember they're talking shit because their memory
And
is
you
like
don't forget.
And
Double-edged sword.
so you end up with all the pain, all the issues, all the baggage from stuff other people have just forgotten and left
And then
behind.
they're just like,
yeah. So I think I'm happy with my very selective memory. I can remember all sorts of unimportant
Yeah, trivia.
miscellaneous nonsense.
Me too.
But if you tell me how exactly did this conversation go yesterday, I won't be able to tell you. I have to write down in meetings. I've got a notebook, and if I don't write down everything that happens in that meeting, it'll be like, yeah, it was fun.
Even if I write it down, though, I sometimes write it down in shorthand, and then I sit there
like
deciphering. I'm like, what
hieroglyphics
did I write here?
Yeah,
what am
like,
I talking
what do I have
about?
to do? I don't know what I have to
Why
do
is
here
the
at all.
and before the? What did I do? What did I do?
Why did I write Bon Iver?
Yeah.
No. What does this mean? It's cryptic.
Bon Iver 1975 in lo-fi.
I'm
so
solving for
confused.
X. This is great. So Congo Chris says Bon Iver, Taylor Swift. Gareth has no idea. German marching band music characters along list of recommendations. Oh wow, I do not know very many German marching band songs. I really don't.
He can tell you what Diogenes was playing on that hill.
Maybe. This is the moment when Gareth realized he was an old ass man. Yeah. Listen, I can't wait to be the grumpy old man. So I'm looking forward to that with both hands.
Are you going to stab kids' balls when they come over the fence?
Get off my property.
Are you going to be that level of grumpy, or is it just going to be like
I'm going to make everyone in the world unhappy as possible.
And you have your get out of jail free card.
I am going to be the most curmudgeonly, belligerent, grumpy, angry, vituperative old man that you can ever imagine. I'm going to set traps. I'm gonna have vicious dogs.
that you only feed yogurt on a Monday?
I'm gonna drive like cars with special things in them that like shoot out things.
Gosh, I'd love one of those.
I'm gonna be the worst.
I'd love
the
one
worst.
of those.
And I'm gonna deliberately go and look for trouble where nobody thinks I am, and then they'll never know it was me, but I'll cause just untold shit.
And soil yourself in the milk aisle.
And then leave the pants there. They'll be like, we found an old man's pants in the milk aisle. Who the fuck was this? I'll be sitting in the car in my underpants.
I shared them.
Yeah, like what was that movie with Bad Santa or something?
Yes.
Be like that.
Yes.
That's how I want to be.
Oh gosh.
Gareth reminds me of the grandpa from Up, says Alan.
Yeah.
He's already a grumpy old man. He doesn't let guests poo in his house. Congo Chris, you have a singular obsession with this. Are you okay with people just coming in and shitting in your house? Is this what you do? Is it you invite them in and say, go ahead, take a giant shit in my fucking house? Is that what you do?
So I'm on the other side of that. I struggle to play an away game. I struggle to poo at other people's house.
No, that's good.
I can't do it. Yeah,
that's how people should be.
That is
Etiquette.
sophisticated behavior.
Yes.
Okay, you got to control yourself. We had this whole unbelievably ugly conversation yesterday, and thank God we've got only 2 minutes until we have to take a break. But we talked about this woman who had diarrhea in a plane. Did you hear the story?
Oh.
She spray painted the inside of a plane. Who alone? I mean, the mechanics of this are just mind-boggling because her asshole had to actually be exposed to the plane cabin and all these passengers. So they saw her asshole erupting with all this stuff. And it beggars belief that this was able to. I cannot believe someone has so little self-control of their internal feelings. Like, oh, I'm feeling a little awkward, and I'm just going to sit here for another 15 minutes and just see if it goes away instead of going to deal with it. But then also to have so little control of your sphincter muscle that you just like spray all over the cabin.
I'm just hold on. Look, not to revisit yesterday's topic, but there's a huge question here. Okay, we've all had diarrhea. We've all had that moment of weakness. Some of us may have followed through accidentally, but you have to get into a position to fire.
Yeah,
said.
Yeah, what was
liquid.
She? What was she swinging from the cabin baggage stowage
rods off?
Yeah, like
it must have been something
like a chimpanzee. I mean, like there's no. I cannot see how other than being a chimpanzee and literally swinging, like from stowage to stowage. How would you manage?
Unless
that?
she was unbuckling at the time and literally was just like, if it's going to happen now. And she dropped her pants and fell over.
At that
there
point,
was turbulence.
at that point, may the plane just fall out of the sky at that point, because really, this is the kind of behavior that should have you exiled from humanity for all time.
Exactly. Let you walk into the abyss. Like, just fine.
There is no coming back from that. There's no way to redeem yourself. I'm always pro redemption in whatever way you could come back from. Like, you go to prison and you can repent for murder and you can make yourself a better human being.
But never.
But this it's so disrespectful. I don't know what it is. People are. I'm so disappointed in humanity at the moment. So Hardy Dave says it's a high pressure explosion. You like that, huh?
Oh, gosh, man.
That amuses you, does it? Oh, I find it so appalling. Anyway. It's just terrible. So, as Alan says, oh my God, not again. We're going to leave it there. Don't worry, Alan. That's the end of that discussion.
Oh, thank you.
Having an uncontrollable bladder on a plane, that's my worst nightmare. Well, again, you are built with internal sensors to pick up that you need to pee. I don't understand people who don't have control over this stuff.
Thank you.
Have you got no connection between your sensory and motor parts of your brain?
But you can get a bladder infection, and that can cause you to have
but you don't
issues.
you don't feel full? And why would a bladder infection affect the sensation of I need a pee?
Like, we're not arguing you going to the pee, like going to the loo like 17 times. We're just saying, just go. Don't just pee yourself and soil yourself. It's like an animal.
I've never, it's like an animal. You don't soil yourself like an animal. Anyway, let's leave it alone. That's unbelievable to me. I really think the very basic level of being able to be
self-sufficient.
To call yourself human, just to call yourself human, at very least have control of your toilet facilities. Like, just have control of that. That's a basic start. You don't have that. You need a curator ad personam. You need the court to appoint someone to walk you around by the hand and sign all the documents for you and put you in a home where you can have 24/7
around the clock
people watching, like, attending to you. Or you can't call yourself human. You can't be wandering about with civilized people, just not having control of this. Really,
it could happen at any time.
I don't know I can't believe we're talking about this again. It's so upsetting to me. It really is. All right, we're going to leave it at that. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
With those cable breaks, the biggest problem was effectively how those cables had been put into the sea in the first place. So, for example, Sat3, you've got 2002, I think the knowledge there in terms of laying cables was rather slim. So let's be fair on it. So we give the guys kudos where we can, right? So they laid it about 400 kilometers offshore from Africa. Along the coast there. And Wax kind of followed suit very similarly that way. It's only been later that we found out that the Congo River has got quite a long, or should I say, very strong flow. And what happens is when there's a lot of rain, the flow from the river comes into the sea, and it actually pushes the rocks and boulders on the seashore.
No ways.
Yeah, and those boulders actually effectively snag the cable and they break the cable.
And so what you're saying is 400 kilometers is not far enough or not deep enough.
It wasn't far enough, yeah. So like I said, the guys didn't know that then. Now we do. So for example, with Equiano, we've laid Equiano about 1,000 kilometers, 1,200 kilometers offshore. So it doesn't get affected so much from that, push from the water effectively.
Thanks for listening to Unbundled, brought to you by Catalytic, a series that aims to demystify technology so that you can make smarter decisions for your business. Remember that you can listen to all of the episodes on the Cliff Central app or website, and for added convenience, you can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen. And if you're looking for help with communications tools in your business, please visit catalytic.co.za.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
We've always speak about the true cost of an EV. And I think a lot of people don't understand what that is. And this paper was it was a study that was done in Australia, which was looking at which countries have the cheapest running costs of an electric vehicle. And I found it quite interesting to see where South Africa landed there.
Well, a cost of our electricity in relation to petrol, you can see on that list, is massive. The cost of electricity is a lot lower. That gap will narrow. So chances are we will get higher electricity costs in the future. Now, also bear in mind that this study was calculated based on a situation where our petrol prices are very, very high at the moment. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
All right. Well, we are back. It is Tuesday morning. We got Graeme Watkins in the studio this morning with us. Bakh'abantu's here as well. And we are talking a whole lot of shit, literally. It's just unbelievable where we've been this morning. But also some interesting stuff that's come up already in the comments section. Lots of people jumping in there. You can join us too. All you have to do is hop on the YouTubes and you can listen to this on podcast whenever you like to. That's very, very good. All right. So a couple of things here. I've started intravenous morning caffeine, like you suggested. I haven't slept in days, says Hardy Dave. Who suggested that? Sanele. That's not good. That is very, very dangerous. Do you do a lot of coffee? You have a coffee thing or not?
I do like coffee. At the restaurant, I drink a lot of coffee in
the restaurant? Your restaurant?
Yes.
Okay, tell me about this because people don't know this.
Oh.
Well, I mean, like, tell them so they can come to your restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Sake.
Well,
this is where you remember, as a professional, you market things by you plug your shit.
Yeah, but you don't want to shamelessly do that.
No, you can.
Okay,
yeah, please.
fantastic.
We don't care.
Come to my restaurant.
We're talking about diarrhea. Like, might as well talk about a fine establishment.
The people who listen to this show know that half of the time people are here because they want to plug something. So,
yeah. Well, okay. So not to shamelessly plug, but I'm involved in a very crazy, cool restaurant. It's called the Blueberry Beacon. Social media has coined it Conker for kids. I don't know if those of you don't know Conker.
That sounds good.
Conker's the high-end club in Soweto.
Yes.
So it's quite wild. I've got superheroes, Transformers running around.
That's awesome. So it's a family place.
Family place.
Where is it?
I've got the one in Morningside, and there's another one in Honeydew. Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. This is the thing now because parents are sick to death of going to the same old places, having substandard food, having a shitty experience for them, and they always have to worry about the kids. Now they can have all the things they want, and the kids will be entertained.
And they're entertained to
relax.
the max.
And so the parents don't have to faff around them, right?
Not at all.
Very clever.
It's all indoor play areas. The one in Morningside's got one of the biggest indoor play areas in Joburg.
That's so clever.
It's unbelievable. And then, we've got like guys who come with a mobile zoo with rescued animals and inform the kids about the animals. We've got princesses, Spider-Man DJs in the evening. I've got Black Panther, Batman, Bumblebee, Optimus Prime. But the Transformers are like 7.5 foot scaled, massive things that walk around and dance. If you go onto TikTok or Twitter, blueberrybeacon.com, you'll see us there. It's unbelievable.
What a clever idea.
Yeah,
okay, so how much of your time does this take up?
Pretty much all of it. Yeah.
All of it.
It's like a 7-day-a-week thing.
Running this is difficult, right?
Yeah.
I mean, restaurants difficult, but then when you add all this entertainment,
it's exhausting. It's exhausting. But I mean, I try and balance that with gigging and the sound company and
being a dad
and being a husband and being a human being with needs, occasionally pooping. So yeah, it's a full-time job. But it's
excellent.
Cool. It's unbelievable.
You see, that's really cool. I didn't know this stuff. I mean, you told me once, and I was like, "Oh, he's got to." Because a lot of people who are entertainers and open up their own restaurant, you're like, "Oh, this isn't going to work." But in your case, this sounds like a very interesting offering that really wasn't there before.
Yeah, and I've got three incredible partners who all share the same vision. We're all kids at heart. You know, we've got like superheroes. superhero statues that are coming. We're like,
so smart. This is how you get kids to come, and if the kids come, the parents will come.
yeah,
Because they say to the parents, I want to go there, I want to go there. And the parents are like, oh, shut up, I'll take you.
yeah, and the kids do. I mean, to get them to leave, they literally drag them out, and the kids are like screaming and they're fueled on slush puppies. In fact, the other night I just laughed to myself because these like kids were sort of standing on the dance floor and the music's playing and they're just holding their slush puppies and they sort of just like
So
looking at each other. Like I was like, this is basically them in 10 years' time in a nightclub.
Somebody in the comments wants to know, the Hood Shed says, is there a plan for one in Cape Town?
Absolutely. We've got a few that we're wanting to roll out. Yeah.
Superb.
So it's just it's quite an undertaking to get it right. We want to try and get the blueprint and the recipe right, to get all the little nitty gritties, the food, everything needs to be on par. And the food is amazing. The service is good. The people are good that work there. So that's a fun environment to be involved in.
Okay, well, I'm glad we had to drag that information out of you.
Dude, you have this awesome product. You should have just walked in with this. Conquer for kids.
Oh man, Conquer for Kids. Go and check it out. I mean, I encourage everyone to go onto social media. I mean, we put up a post and we're hitting.
It's called Blueberry Muffin. What's
Blueberry Beacon? Blueberry Beacon. Yeah, we're getting like 6.9. We're getting like 6.9 million views. On like our hits on our online. I've got a family flying in from India.
What?
To come and experience
Guptas.
They're not the Guptas. No.
Just checking, because we've had a family fly in from India before for a big wedding in Sun City, and everything went to shit after that.
Where are they landing?
They're landing at Waterkloof Air Force Base, right, Bakh'abantu?
Yeah,
Watch
probably.
that. What's that vape? What do you got going on there?
Oh, this is just a cruiser. I don't know. I have mango ice, Elf Bar. It's
mango ice.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Well, we haven't had anyone smoke one in here before. We don't have an alarm, so go for it. Let's tell me about the flavor.
Okay, so the flavor's got a bit of
Give us a
menthol.
review.
Give us a review.
We're dragging
Five
the stuff
review.
out of you.
Let's go. Let's hear. Here we are. Graeme Watkins. He goes in for it.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's like summer on a beach. It's got that kind of Pittsburgh feel about it. You know the smell of like suntan lotion while eating an ice cream.
Got you.
That vibe.
Right.
It's fresh. It's fun. It's
Okay.
delicious.
All right.
And it tastes like mango.
Are you big into this, or is it just a fun thing? I mean, like,
I'm not really big into it. I'm addicted.
They're
That's the
those vape
difference.
people who they carry around those big ass ones with a battery on
Okay.
that make an enormous amount of smoke. It's like a smoke machine.
I used to be that guy.
Oh, were you?
Where I used to
Huh.
find such joy in building my own mod, recoiling it, recottoning it. It was a whole big ritual thing. I had a little kit. I carried around multiple mods, battery chargers. And then eventually I was just like, damn, this is just
Too much work.
so much work.
But also, I can't imagine if the thing is making that much smoke that comes out, how much the stuff that you're taking in is not great.
No, it's
those
not.
very powerful ones have got to be worse for you than these.
Yeah,
ones.
and then I mean there's some guys that clock those things up to ridiculous heats. I mean it burns. It's just I'm just like, what's going on?
It's like it's basically cremating you before death.
It's hellfire in your lung with a mango aftertaste. Yeah.
I see these things are selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I
Man,
reckon
if I could have got into any of the vices,
I reckon this industry must be
the
worth
taxman's coming from
multi-millions. Yeah.
But the taxman's coming from
it doesn't matter that they've made their
They've made,
fortunes
yeah.
already. Like, I would have purveyed these things left, right, and center had I been able to see into the future.
Well, I used to smoke cigarettes like I was going to win something, and I haven't done that in
Like you were going to win something.
yeah, like I haven't done that in
competition,
about 12 years now. So
Do you think this is better for you? Do you feel, okay, because again, the medical establishment is still out on this, the jury's still out, but do you feel better with this than you did with cigarettes?
infinitely. I mean, with cigarettes, I always used to wheeze and I didn't feel great. This, look, I don't feel any worse. I feel better, but it's weird. I mean, I don't suck on this thing all day long.
Sure.
I have a couple of drags every now and then, and I'm not completely and utterly confined to it constantly being there. However, with the bigger device, you constantly hitting it.
I noticed though that even friends of mine who smoke vapes, they get a little bit antsy if it runs out. They often will travel with like 2 or 3. I mean, this one friend of mine unpacked. I was trying to think about who it was because it happened in front of my eyes, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" The guy unloaded like 10 of these things from his bag, and he goes, yeah, you must try one of these. I was like, you need all the different it's like a sweet shop.
Yeah.
Cranberries and the blueberries and ice
Yeah,
cream.
there are
flavor.
guys that like have their whole variety with them. I'm a kind of a one-trick pony. I'm like, I like mango and it's
Okay.
nice, and then I like the ice cream.
I
And
gotta
blueberry,
say,
I like
so
blueberry.
again, as a non-smoker, but as someone who is around smokers and has no problem with smokers because I grew up with both parents smoking,
Yeah, me too.
I don't mind the smell of vapes around people. It's always fresher and nicer, and
Than cigarettes.
cigarettes are disgusting
They are
compared to
horrible.
these things. So as a secondhand smoker,
You prefer
I'm
vaping.
very happy with the vapors. I'm much happier with them than the smokers.
Yeah, I actually what stopped me smoking like completely.
Yeah.
Well, I had it in my mind for a while that I just had to give this up because I've been smoking for a while. I
Right.
started smoking when I was 18, I think it was. And I just had a cigarette and I got into a lift with somebody. And they looked at me with such disdain, and I obviously stank, and I was just like, "Nah, this is not for me, man."
And there's nothing worse than the towels in someone's house when they smoke.
Yeah, and the walls are beige.
Yeah, it,
Yeah.
it actually stains the walls.
Although I never smoked in the house, ever. It was
Never.
always outside on the balcony.
And your wife doesn't smoke.
No, she doesn't smoke anymore.
Wow. Okay, but she used to.
Mm.
Okay, so you two, did you both stop at the same time? Or did you...
She stopped a little bit after me. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is she
Was it
also
harder
hitting
for
the
her
vape?
or for you?
It was a bit harder for her. Yeah. I'm quite militant in when I make a decision, it stays done.
You're disciplined.
Yeah.
I could imagine. I think you would decide to do something.
If I choose to do something,
Tickets.
I have the capacity.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's to my own detriment because I get quite stubborn to a fault. But if I make a decision, I tend to follow through.
Yeah.
Not every time, but 95%.
So if you were on a plane and you had diarrhea, you would choose to
Oh, no,
spray
it's
the
not,
wall.
please not.
well, if I had to, and it was a decision I'd made, I sure as hell would. Yes.
I don't want to go back to this. Here's a picture though of the plane.
Oh.
I said like a little bit of what you could see there. It's like
Just
down
imagine
the
that
aisle.
down the aisle.
Anyway, I mean, like Ryan had to go and find these.
At least
for
you had a
us.
tissue.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's not it. But there we go. I mean, it's frightening. Okay, so here's some blueberry beacon. Take a
on,
look.
on top of the diarrhea.
On top of the diarrhea picture.
There it is.
Let me get rid of the diarrhea picture. 'cause
Yes,
that's
Iron
unhealthy.
Man.
There we go. So look at
Iron
this.
Man.
Iron Man dancing there.
Yeah, we party all
Kids
day
are
long.
having a party. It's fantastic.
The music. Those are all my staff. The guys.
Sure. Look at this.
We have an absolute jewel. We have an
Very
absolute
nice,
jewel.
dude. Look at all these
Oh,
souvenirs. There's one of the
Bumblebee.
Transformers.
Ah, look at it.
So tall, he hits the flower box.
Yeah, it's part of the gag.
Okay. Clever. This
Oh,
is
that
sharp.
Cocoa Melon.
What?
The little baby. That's JJ from Cocoa Melon.
You see, again, this is a world I do not understand. This is like Bon Iver.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
Cocoa Melon related to Bon Iver?
That's 4 now. That's 4. You don't know.
There's 4 things
at
I've
least I know
never-
one thing tonight.
You've
Today.
introduced 4 brand new concepts to me, none of which I give a fuck about. I
Yeah.
gotta say. Like I am not at all embarrassed that I don't know these things, but it does strike me as peculiar that in all my years I have not heard any of these terms used in pleasant conversation.
Okay. Well, I'm about to rock your world. I'm gonna think of other things. and see
Okay,
if I
go.
can- if I
No,
can
this
pop one
is a
into-
fun game. Just keep dropping these.
These
You did the
James.
cocoa melon one.
yeah, at least I'm.
No, he
oh,
knew-
Is that
he
a flavor
knew.
of vape?
He knew Cocoa Melon.
I got 3 cocoa melon vapes, please. All right. Can he sing Bloodshot Eyes before he leaves, please? Says Carl.
Goodness, not at this time in the morning.
Oh, you don't do, what are you, like some kind of dance monkey dance? He's not going to sing for you, Carl.
It's like that first time you meet a comedian, like tell a joke.
Yeah,
No.
please. Oh, listen, I know so many people who they think it's funny to do this to performers of some kind. Like they'll say to someone, "Can't you just do that Michael Jackson dance that you used to do?" Like it's so disrespectful to go up to a proper musician, someone who writes music, plays music, sings, does 72,000 people gigs, and you say to him, "Yo, can you sing that line again from your song from like
And
2
you
years
never
ago?"
do this to the engineer or a doctor.
No,
You're like,
no.
operate
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
I want to see.
Well, some people do. They're like, "Oh, I've got an uncle who's a doctor. I just go to him whenever I have a problem." In these families where people
Yeah.
will use whatever's in the family. Like, "Oh, you're a lawyer. I need this."
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I get paid for this.
Meantime, the doctor's a dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a lung transplant for my dentist.
Love the accent.
Are there plans for one in Durban? One of your blueberry.
So yeah, there
cupcakes.
actually is. Yeah, I went and had a look at a site in Canuvia Mall.
Oh,
next to
really?
Gate
You
Bay.
might be doing Durban.
Yeah.
That's going to be a loss. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Turn out like maybe the
Sinking.
kid turnout is
It's
good.
throwing good money on.
It's gonna be a 4-seater restaurant.
Yeah, they must book 3 months in advance
Yeah.
in Durban to get the one table in the
That one
place. That's a
table.
good idea.
Yeah.
And you'll be safe then. Okay, I'm not surprised Ryan hasn't blown clouds in the studio. I'm surprised. Oh, does Ryan vapes?
I don't think so. Producer Ryan. do
Ryan.
you vape?
Ryan looks like a vapor.
Ryan looks cool.
Darth Vaper.
It definitely it's definitely like a thing, and especially for
It's camping. Okay, it's camping all over again. It's camping all over again. There are tiers of vaping.
oh yeah, definitely.
It's the tiers of
Yeah.
camping thing. Sorry to interject.
No,
there.
you're spot on.
But it's that thing. It's like the guys that are like diehards will build. They're like,
They would never buy one from the garage.
Yeah.
no, not unless it was absolutely essential.
Desperate.
Yeah,
desperate. They
it's
need
like-
that fix.
Yeah, when that crack
Chopping at the
cocaine
bit.
look,
Yeah.
you know, that rabid dog look.
4 in the morning.
Yeah,
Like, traipsing in there in their dressing gown. Like, I need
Yeah.
give me the 2 vapes
Just
right
give me-
by.
while chewing on their slipper.
I need
Yeah.
3 cocomelons up my blood.
Listen, I've started laughing about something which is so dumb. There's that meme of this singer from I don't know when, like the 70s or something. You know that surprise, right?
Yes.
I think it's Cilla Black or something. But now every time anyone says something that is just slightly interesting to me, I go, surprise, surprise. She does that whole dance. And I don't know why this is funny to me, but it makes me laugh no matter how foul-tempered I am at any given day, anytime, any place.
I love the 70s. There was
The-
just some great things that
The,
happened.
the 70s were so,
Brown.
but like it was a tough, like rough, coarse, vicious time.
Yeah.
Someone from the 70s saw you smoking a vape, they'd probably punch you.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the women.
Yeah.
Women in the 70s took no shit, man.
Roll up their
Yeah, they'd
sleeves
roll
and
up their
just
sleeves.
Knock you.
Yeah, with their roller skates on or whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly. And their shoulder pads on.
Sure, that's more 80s, but yeah.
No,
Didn't
the
you post
80s
something
was-
about the 80s? So like you posted something really cool about the 80s. Like it was a bunch of like these stars. Like, yo.
Well, I mean, just like the hairstyle. Listen, what made the 70s so absolutely animal was just the music was so cool,
So good.
right? Like it was just those like guitars, man.
Yeah, and the bass lines. It was very bass driven. It was like rhythm and blues came
so
back.
good.
Back
That
hard.
was a like very, very special time.
I'm a huge 80s
music-wise.
fan. I love the 80s
Yeah.
music.
Okay.
Okay. But I mean the 80s was just a result of 2 generations of drug abuse. They just sort of like it just was this neon.
You reckon?
God, it was just a disaster. When I look at some of the hairstyles and some of the things, I was
Cindy
just
Lauper.
like, wow.
Like if you look at Cindy Lauper, like now, even homeless people don't look that bad. And but in the 80s, she was considered cool.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you still occasionally will see people dressing like it's the 80s
Yeah.
because you know that might have been their generation or whatever, but very rarely because it like fashion in the 80s was pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. they-
70s was at least it had a bit of edge and character to it. 80s, sure.
Yeah, but they were like they I don't know, they were sort of predicting what they thought the future was going to be like, because you know they just got electronic sounds. It was like all this futuristic things. So they were like, oh, it's all going to be neon, and now we have to grow mullets. I don't know who decided on the mullet, but they all
No,
decided
business
that
in the
Mullets,
front.
mullets
was-
were again.
Business is in the front,
again,
party at the back.
80s, like
this is
not,
happening.
Not
guys.
good, hey?
Party in the back, business in the front. That's what it was all about.
And men who rolled up their sleeve jackets,
Yeah,
jacket sleeves, rolled up. Who thought Miami Vice? It was
Yes.
Don Johnson.
yeah. And they loved their moustaches so much they grew it on their
Tom
own.
Selleck.
Moustaches were a
Magnum PA.
big thing, right?
And shorts were short.
Super short.
Wait, what is this? You guys are thinking of the half on Baywatch.
No, they didn't have like the 90s were all about those very baggy shorts. It was like the exact opposite. But
Yeah.
in the 80s, it was like super
Short.
That
Skinky.
Wham
It was like tight,
Wham
like
tight.
almost like you'd expect a female gymnast to wear.
Yes.
But the men would wear them.
But they bought them one size down, I'm sure.
Yeah, so the balls, so you would actually see the balls.
Yeah.
Like,
And the
there's
gentleman sausage was
can
like
I
wrapped
ask you
around.
something? Like, okay, I understand people being attracted to all kinds of different body parts, but I don't know that I've ever met any man or woman who said
That's a nice pair of
the
balls.
balls. This is a thing that nobody seems to. When nobody talks about it, right? Essentially, the most masculine is not your penis; it's your balls. But there's no woman in the world who go, I chose him for his balls. No one's looking at balls. No one's interested in balls. They're revolting. They move. They're strange. You know what I mean? They're strange fucking things. What's going on there? And nobody ever says.
And they're not symmetrical.
And no one's got like a ball thing. There are guys who are like into breasts.
Yeah.
There are girls who are into penises
And feet.
sizes, different dimensions, all this stuff. Feet.
But I don't think there's a ball
There's no
fetish. There's a
ball,
banana fetish.
There's
a
no
peanut
ball,
butter fetish.
sure, but there's no ball category.
But
I
like,
don't
have you
think
seen
that's a
these
category.
have you
Is
seen
that a
these-
category? It's not a category.
It's not a category, but have
Is
you
it a
seen these
category?
buckies with like blue balls hanging
Yeah.
out? Yeah. Like, what is that?
Well, I think that's just a desperate cry for help. And it doesn't happen that much often anymore. I mean, it used to be a Pretoria thing with
Pretoria,
like,
East
with,
Rand,
you'd put
West Rand.
no, but it was like if you were a Blue Bulls supporter, you'd have the blue balls hanging from your toe bar.
Pure toe bar.
I saw a few of them, but never more than in a space of like a year. You wouldn't see more than like 5.
I should go to the
And
Karoo, hey?
Are there lots there?
Yeah.
It's quite frightening that the
What,
future,
balls
but the,
generally,
the future of mankind hangs outside of the body.
Yeah.
That, and it's so sensitive, and it could be and it's amazing that we don't actually lose more balls growing
Well,
up.
I knew a guy at school.
Me too.
He got a ball crushed.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
Sure.
It's going to really upset a lot of guys in the audience this
Sure.
morning. So this guy was playing soccer, and I get like, makes me sore to even think about it. One of the guys kicked him, and then he didn't kick him in the balls, but the ball and socket joint of his hip got undone, and the ball went into that and got smashed in the ball and socket joint of the hip. Now, I don't know if this is a school legend, because those stories tend to be embellished quite a lot.
Yeah.
But that his entire bollock was completely pulverized inside of the joint,
Just
the hip joint.
Just squeezed in there.
It was just mashed to absolute shit. And we used to sing a song about him. I'm not going to mention his name now because poor guy. Well, okay, Gavin has only got one ball. And we used to sing this song about him, which we stole from they used to sing an anti-Nazi song.
Yeah.
And the anti-Nazi song, yeah. And you go, Hitler has only got one ball. Goering has 2 but very small. Himmler has something similar, but poor old Goebbels has no balls at all. Right? That's how they used to sing it. So that was a World War II thing. And we changed this to Gavin, and then we brought in his whole family. Poor guy. I mean, he had no chance, but one ball.
Sure.
And whether or not it was actually crushed in the hip, I think that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but he lost the ball. So he had the one ball.
But that's like a
And that was what he was known for. We don't do that with kids anymore. We don't name them
We
for
had a Gavin.
You had a Gavin as well?
We had a Gavin, but our Gavin had 3 balls.
What?
Yeah, and like just everyone knew in school. We're like, dude, like because he had special shorts.
Where did the other ball go?
That's why he
in the
needed
front, in the back.
That's how he had special shorts. It was just
Was it like one of those executive toys where you
Like-
pick up the one and it goes?
I'm
How
trying to
did
wrap
that
my head
work?
around it as well.
But it was like 3 balls in one set, like one sack. You're like, whoa, yo, it was so weird because we were told like not to treat it like two because he can't run properly. He needs special shorts in PT.
He needs special shorts.
Yeah,
What
he
does that mean?
No, not like you can't have normal shorts because
Orthopedic shoes? I mean, what is this?
he wore like this thing like
There's
like
the
a
kid
diaper.
with the 3 balls.
But like we were
You all
called in.
knew.
Yeah, we were called in. Like all the
Oh.
boys were called in. Like
Okay,
guys,
that was a mistake. First mistake.
Yeah, big mistake. They should never have told anybody. What are the chances anyone's going to see his 3rd ball anyway? He could have kept it quiet.
He's
Stay
got
mum.
he's got a very he's got a sore knee. He has to wear these special shorts
Right.
because that's why he walks like
the story. The poor child. Did his
Yeah.
parents tell the school, now listen, my son has 3 balls. I want you to treat him
All
like
the
a
boys
normal
got
boy.
called to assembly. Like,
I can
okay,
just see
guys,
the
you guys can
headmaster.
leave.
Yeah.
And then they're like, so we need to talk about
Hello, school. Listen, we've got an important announcement about young Gavin. Yeah, Gavin, please stand up.
take a ball. I mean, a bow.
What happened?
No, dude. It was like we were just called after assembly. We were told about this kid. Don't treat him differently. He's just
Oh.
like you guys.
How can people do that? They tell you what's different about him and they say, don't treat him differently. It's like a
That's so funny.
textbook case of othering.
But like, fun fact: the
Did
reason
he make
why,
it through school?
Yeah, he had surgery.
He had a ball.
Yeah, he had surgery in grade 11. I think had surgery to get back down to 2.
Wow,
I
man.
guarantee you.
Again, we knew.
I guarantee you, though, he had the surgery not because there was a physical problem or he was worried about it, because of the teasing. The teasing. And he couldn't wait to come to school and tell you guys, hey, boys, I've got only
got
2 now. I'm back down to 2.
But the reason why they hang outside is because like they're 2 degrees lower than the body temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get the
Yeah,
physiology
the
behind it.
physiology.
No, hang on. Let's not get serious about that. I haven't finished. I'm still amazed that he was like a mutant with 3 balls.
Yeah.
And this wasn't considered a superpower.
No, he was infertile, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, if you have more than one, you're
You're infertile.
You need 2. If you more
They
or
cancel
less,
each other out.
yeah, you're not shooting super sperm out here.
Ah, thought it was like the X-Men.
Yeah.
Guys, like suddenly he's impregnating every girl in the whole town without even being near them.
Yeah, just pollination.
Yeah, spores. Something's ringing.
It's not me.
It's not me.
Yes, it is you.
Oh, it is me.
You.
Oh,
How embarrassing.
yo,
What is that?
it's a smartwatch.
No, but what was that? Was that a
It
call?
was a call. Yeah, I don't know what number was that. It was one of these numbers.
Next time you're answering it on the show.
Okay, cool. And then we'll talk to.
I don't know who it is. It's
The
going to be
Nigerian
embarrassing.
prince.
It'll be embarrassing for you.
No, we'll talk to the Nigerian prince trying to give me.
Oh, you reckon it's a call center?
It is.
All right.
Brother.
3 balls, huh? Another thing I didn't know about. This has turned into an absolutely educational show.
This is
See, when you open yourself up to new information, look how much you learn. I'm learning so much today. This is amazing. More than 2 balls is intersex, Bakh'abantu, according to Alan. Orthopedic underwear. We had one dude at school who had 1 ball. We called him monoscope. That's not very clever because scope is eyes.
Guys, yeah.
What were you people fucking illiterate
Might as well
to your
call them
school?
Cyclops.
How embarrassing. It's a pity the 2 Gavins didn't meet. They could have done a Gavin to Gavin transplant.
Oh, that's good.
3 ball Gavin had 4 kids before the end of high school. Well, I don't know so much. 3 balls. He must have won the trifecta, says Neil. Okay. I think high school is both the cruelest place and the best place,
Correct.
especially for young men. Women, it's much meaner because
Yeah.
they like when girls bully, it's psychological warfare.
Mm.
But with guys, even though like you guys would have teased the hell out of Gavin, but he would have learned to deal with it.
Yeah, he
right?
did because
And-
he came back stronger.
Correct. So I do think stress in that situation and victimization in inverted commas, because I don't think it's real victimization. That's sort of bullying because again, girls don't get it. So you can't have women making rules for boys because they'll make terrible rules for boys. They'll all end up growing up all fucked up. Do you worry about this as a kid? I mean, as a father of kids, 2 boys, that because the education system is so geared towards girls, and it really is, like the classroom, sitting there quietly. This is not how boys are meant to be educated. Boys are meant to be educated practically.
Mm.
And we get very bored, all of us, unless you're a like very, very slow child. You're not going to sit there and behave yourself. You fidget, you want to like throw things at other kids in the
Yeah.
class.
Yeah,
you
I was
wanna
that
get the
guy. I mean,
teacher's
I went to
attention.
an all-boys school as well.
Right.
So it was like very academic, very sports orientated, had a bit of a military feel to it because it was
Mhm.
a lot of the old boys, there were the memorial gates. So it was
Oh,
a school
right.
steeped in tradition,
Okay.
Although I definitely fitted in at times, I didn't at other times. And I was that guy who was the spitting, throwing the paper and having to sit there. And it's kind of like, they're training you for factory work. You clock in the morning
Yeah.
and you punch
Well,
in
that's
for
what
lunch.
school was
was
designed
you-
for.
And then you kind of leave. And
Especially
then,
the Victorian model of schooling, the English public school model, which was the first proper public school model. Everyone was always educated at home before then. We keep thinking this goes back thousands of years. It doesn't. The idea of a school that everybody goes to and sits at desks and learns from a teacher is maybe 150 years old at a push.
Yes. No, it goes back to the Industrial Revolution where you needed people packing boxes in that conveyor belt.
So I think a bit longer than that.
But I do think that there is a very distinct difference. Girls, on the average, girls always do better than boys academically because the school environment is much more attuned to the needs of girls. And girls thrive in that environment. So even if it wasn't designed with them in mind, that is an environment that they can do better in. And I'm not saying that we need to now reform the whole school system. I don't give a shit about education policy, frankly. I don't have a dog in this fight. But with you've got two boys. Are they like attentive, good, disciplined little kids who sit there quietly the whole time? Or are they a little bit naughty sometimes and you get the teacher on the phone going, "Oh man, your children are misbehaving." Meanwhile, you're like, they're boys, deal with it.
My kids go to a wild, cool school.
Oh, okay. This is one of those different, not like everybody else.
Yeah,
schools.
it's not necessarily a quote unquote mainstream school.
Okay.
But it is.
A lot of people, I knew there was something here. That's why I asked you about this.
So they go to a school called Thrive Academy. It was Avalon, and it was originally started by Steve Jobs. And it's very technology driven. They've got like
robotics
a lot of robotics. They've got like a CNC router. They've got a 3D printer in the lab. Cool. They've got all sorts of very, very cool things, but it's still very academically driven.
Yeah.
But they learn how to speak C#. I mean, my youngest already speaks C#, Java. He's coding. They're building.
Wow, they're learning coding, huh?
Yeah. See, now this is a school driven for like the next generation.
That's
very clever.
Like if they go onto their iPads, for example, I'll tell you quite a cute story.
Yes.
They if they're on their iPads, and it's not like they're all just sitting there on their iPads. They do a couple of their modulars on iPads, but in the background,
you can't not. I mean, like it would be very short-sighted and stupid for schools and parents to completely take technology out of their children's lives. It's going to be a part of their lives at some point, but you've got to be very picky and choosy about when and how,
and also what they're using it for.
Okay, so what are you talking about the iPad?
They got the iPads in it, but in the background there is a bit of AI that's running that is assessing their strengths and weaknesses. And what it does, it's rewarding them for their strengths, but every now and then it starts pushing the weaknesses forward and encouraging them, and it'll give them the same question but posed differently.
Is this school called Blueberry Cupcakes?
Go to Blueberry Beacon for everything you need.
Yeah, and then this AI basically tutors them without them even knowing.
Does it? I would be all in favor of this if it was AI that also could punish them by shocking them on them. Like, I think you need a
dog collar.
I'm very much into positive reinforcement, but also negative reinforcement. You know this, Bakh'abantu. I'm big on this.
Yeah.
Like as the child is rewarded with gets points or like gemstones or rings or like whatever it is that they get in the game that rewards them for their strengths, it must punish them for their weaknesses. So I go, I mustn't do that again. That hurts. That just really messed with my my cerebrum.
I think what we've established is that Gareth can never ever be in charge of the country or the world.
No, you've heard his policy on prisons, right? About like the prison in the desert.
No, and they must be overfull, and it must be just hell to live there. Basically, almost starving. It must be horrible. Prison's got to be horrible. All these people who think prison should be nice, they've forgotten what prison's for. But we digress. So the reason I say I'm not being just a shit about this, like I do think like negative reinforcement also, once you've touched the stove and it burns, you never touch the stove again. Yeah. Your parent can tell you a million times, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove, don't touch the stove. When I was a little kid, my mother, we used to have one of those old freezers where the ice would like grow.
Cake up, yes.
Right. Yeah. And I just wanted to like put my mouth on that ice,
you
right?
got stuck there.
And exactly. I got stuck and like ripped my lips off.
Yeah.
As like and I was screaming and it was so sore and it was horrible. I mean, I don't remember this. My mother tells me the story because clearly I'm not like still traumatized by it. I don't remember the.
But you've never done it
occasion.
again.
I'll never do that again. I mean, I know I respect the freezer. Not that I have a freezer with all the ice gathering on it. We have better freezers these days. But things like that are important instructional moments for children.
But are you saying that I should electrocute my child if they get 1 + 1 wrong?
I would, but I'm not the parent.
1
so
+ 1
lucky your kids.
equals 3. Wrong. Zap.
Not like ruin their electrochemistry.
Just
I reckon like a
A
very,
zap to the
a
testes.
very unpleasant sensation. Like, oh, that was horrible. I mustn't do that again. I better think twice. Get it right. There's no consequence. See, maybe it's not the children's fault, and we shouldn't start victimizing them again in inverted commas like this. But I am sick of a society where there are no consequences for bad decisions and people, because we've built so many safeguards to protect people from their own carelessness and stupidity and outright bad behavior that now
There's no accountability.
Yeah, I feel like people have become very sloppy about, oh, well, if I don't arrive on time for the thing, it's fine, I'll make an excuse. Oh, well, if I don't do this, it doesn't matter. You know, this is why we have broken infrastructure around us. This is why we have people who don't take their jobs seriously. This is why we have people who are raising their kids badly. It's why we have so many people who are not responsible for themselves. Oh, well, you know, the government will take care of my health care. It'll take care of my education. It'll take care of my income. All of this. And things like COVID made it worse because people were suddenly like, well, I'll just sit here and wait for the government to give me permission to put a thing on my face or not. And there's no consequence in that person's life or agency.
No.
And I don't have this like nasty streak in me that I want people to be punished. But I do think we've lost the ability to train other human beings who have not got a sense of accountability or responsibility for that. The only thing that they may encounter in their life, if they're thoroughly irresponsible and unaccountable, is they will perhaps have resource problems.
But
In
again,
other words,
we have
they might not have as
safeguards
much
against that.
money or whatever, but they never really actively put
Suffering.
right.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean suffering, just put right. Like, this is what, here's how you redirect that. This is what you do to make a positive thing out of a negative. Because also there's this move, and I blame the United States for this, of kind of positive reinforcement. You can dream it, be it.
The American dream, yeah.
That stuff, which I don't think it's helped kids.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing better than a kid realizing at some point, I'm never going to be able to do high jump, or I'm not the cleverest kid in the class. I'm just not. I could pray and I could work and I could slave and I'll never be that girl with the 98% maths mark.
Never going to happen.
Like reality, just reality has to set in at some point. Am I being horrible?
You're not being
No,
horrible.
no. I tell you what, I was never that academic guy, and I always put myself down for that. And you know, being in the early schooling system, so did the teacher.
But you knew you weren't stupid.
No, but see, the thing is, I didn't realize then, I hadn't realized where my smarts lay. But I realized that I'm as intelligent as that person in that field, but in a totally different space. And as a child, you don't realize that yet. You're still discovering that you're only being taught this thing, and you're dumb at this thing. And the whiteboard or the blackboard or the green board, whatever it was, is the holy grail in the classroom.
that,
and
again,
whatever
is-
happens there is,
okay. So you're a creative guy.
yeah.
You've got intelligence. You definitely are smart. So school was not necessarily the best environment for you. I'm proud of you and your wife putting your kids into school where they do things slightly
I
differently.
wish I'd gone to that school.
Right. So this is what I'm getting at.
Magic.
It's like we treat everyone, it's like a communist utopia. We treat everyone the same. All the kids, all the children will have the same education, the same teachers, they will be taught in the same way. Boys, girls, clever, stupid, old, young, fat, thin, everyone's the same. And you shouldn't. Different needs, different kids. Even your two children are going to be different.
Completely.
You say you would have thrived in that school.
Yeah.
And I mean, in spite of what you're saying about your education, you're not too badly off. You're like,
Yeah, no, but
you're all right.
But again, it brings it back to the beginning of your point, where kids are horrible sometimes, and they bully and they're things. But that, in many regards, because I was, everyone said I was bullied.
Oh,
at school.
please! It's become like a badge of honor these days. How much I was bullied more than you know. I was bullied more than you know. I got a wedgie in standard 8. Fuck off. Who has the time to listen to all these victim stories?
Yeah. Okay, but victim story aside, I did get.
Wait,
bullied.
I'll get the violin. Hold on.
No.
I
thought you were going to tell the victim story. Let me get the violin.
No, I don't want the victim story. There's a shot at goal for this one. The bullying that I did go through, 100% defined a lot of the very fundamentals of who I am today. My quick wit, my sharp tongue, my ability to handle stress, those certain things, and be brave in a sense, in a lot of rooms. You'll walk in there and I'll be able to overcome those difficulties with a lot more ease than somebody who necessarily coasted through. And I think it obviously ultimately defines you. I can tell you right now that you might not have been the most popular guy at school, but you're a great person now. But it defined you. Am I right?
I was actually okay at school.
Were you?
Yeah.
Look at him.
I made people laugh.
He's
I was also like sharp, but it's because I wasn't the fastest. I hated sport. I didn't take part in any of it, so I didn't have any camaraderie in that respect. But I had loads of friends. I was friends with sports guys. I was friends with the chick who smoked. I was friends with the nerds. I was friends with all, because the nerds, I'd talk about
Star Wars
Exactly.
chemistry. The jocks, I'd talk about like chicks or cars or whatever. And I always had like, I'm not saying I figured it out, but if you're comfortable, if I was just in the nerd group and I could have been very comfortable there,
you'd only be a nerd.
I would be the biggest nerd, but I wouldn't ever, like, a little bit of discomfort and a little bit of othering is probably the best thing that can happen to a kid. And these days, parents, schools, education systems, departments, ministers, politicians, they will do anything to prevent a kid from feeling different. They must all be the same, like Gavin with his 3 balls. We must get him to cut out the one ball, and we must tell the school not to treat him differently. It's not going to happen. I hate to break it to you guys, but you're trying to create a utopia here. I always blame the communists for everything, but this morning's definitely leading that way.
No. Who I blame is the moms who baby-proofed the house. This is where this all started. You started baby-proofing the house.
Let them put those fingers in the plugs.
Let them break them.
I watched my son. Hold his hand out as a toddler, and the dog proceeded to soft serve his turd onto my son's hand, and my son went.
And you did nothing to interfere.
And you know what? We panicked after the fact, and we wiped. We didn't panic.
Sure.
But it's cool. And to this day, he's Buxton. He just carries on. He doesn't get sick. He just is what he is.
He's probably got the best immune system of any child in the world
ever.
Oh,
and it is. But you know what? Also, and that's why you're somebody that knows a lot about the little things. You said earlier you're like the Trivial Pursuit, someone who'd be great at Trivial Pursuit or 30 Seconds.
I don't know. Your wife would beat me at music.
Definitely.
Oh.
Definitely. But you know a lot about a lot about nothing.
Not that's a great life skill or going to make me a billionaire, but
not yet. But because you plugged into all those respective groups and you learned a little bit of information from the nerds and from the sports guy, from the smoker, and so on and so forth. One thing that I find quite sad is the parent that comes and the child is there, even if the child might be a 15-year-old, and they're like, this is John, he's not very good at this, but he likes going there, but he's not a fan of he can't go outside because he has hay fever. And then there's this whole big explanation and the story
that follows poor John.
And John just stands there
like a fucking robot.
This robot, this ventriloquist dummy. Then he goes, mom, and then runs off. And you're just like, that child has basically had its life given to him. His decisions are made for him. And John's never going to learn anything.
No, and John's also going to be bullied to pieces, and he's not going to handle it well. Like, you know, there's certain. Here's a very important comment from Azalea. I'm just glad we brought up this bullying thing because actually it's been sitting in the back of my mind for a while. And so often you hear people on the internet, and you can tell that they never encountered any adversity at all in their lives. And they're now adults and they're on Twitter or whatever. And they talk about, you know, when someone says something as an opinion, they're like, oh, stop spreading hate and stop bullying and all of this stuff. And you're like, clearly you just have never experienced the world. Like you've been so sheltered. You don't understand what the world's actually about. And your problems are not real problems. And you go into this world and now you're trying to take what is not the reality that's in your head, which is made up fantasy, and impose that on the reality. But the reality is going to absorb your fantasy and discard it.
Yeah.
And you will be left deeply dissatisfied on the other side of it. Now, what parent would want that for their kid?
But you see, maybe that parent was raised in that
Well,
fashion.
maybe, but I don't think so, because life is much, much harder as you go further back in time.
But then if you look at the pattern, like you said, like the 30-year-old Americans, right?
Yeah.
Now they don't leave the nest.
No.
So then they stay the child.
Well, this is
and
why,
then they keep
why
getting
the empire
coddled.
is. This is why the empire is falling to pieces.
Exactly. So now they keep getting coddled.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because you can't unleash them into the world because you haven't given them the tools. So then you still keep them
So
coddled.
what are we on now? Is it Gen X, Gen Z, Gen?
We're on Gen Z. No, it's Alpha. Alpha. It's gone all the way around to Alpha.
To Alpha.
Yeah. So the youngest generation now is Gen Alpha. So these are
The COVID babies.
Yeah, these are kids maybe just a bit before COVID as well.
Okay.
Like your kids are probably Gen Alpha.
Yeah. You know, I just like I'm frightened in many regards because you know I've stopped my kids watching YouTube now. I used to let them watch it, and now if they do watch it, they watch under our supervision because the algorithm is not your friend and it can lead you down quite a dark, even if you're watching kids tube. And I look at a lot of parents today, and I'm not pointing fingers. It's just an observation that YouTube actually raises a lot of our children nowadays.
Yeah.
And feeds them these ideas and feeds them these things. And these kids are taking this as gospel truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of
their heads are still soft. If
Yeah.
you put it in at that age, that stays.
I mean,
it's baked in for good.
my son comes to me and he'll say something.
Has he told you about Bon Iver?
Did he introduce
He was
you to
actually
Bon Iver?
born to Bon Iver.
No.
He was actually born to
What was Bon Iver playing? Well,
Yeah, I had it playing in the background when it came out. So.
You hipster. You should still be in Cape Town.
Yeah, I mean,
Wearing a
I don't know. I
waistcoat.
don't even know why I'm wearing shoes, to be honest.
Okay, so these bad ideas.
Yeah, and my son, you know, when he started coming to me and asking me these things or telling me these things as fact.
What things?
I can't remember offhand. I'd be lying if I told you, but he'll be like, this YouTuber said that this is fact. You know, like
Moon landing.
no, there's you know, I don't know. There's I can't give you an example, but anyway,
but something that you immediately clicked. Oh,
I was like,
this
that is
bad
absolute
nonsense
rubbish.
idea.
You know what I mean? But as soon as he started associating this with fact and the gospel truth, I was like, no. I need to get involved, and you need to actually.
You don't allow
start
them on
reading.
YouTube at all.
If they do go on YouTube, it's for very, very specific reasons. My one son loves watching Outdoor Boys, which are little kids at camp.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
And they learn how to make fires, and it's like scouting and so on and so forth. And I do that. But this brainwash, I mean, some of these guys just watch these characters dancing and this repetitive nonsense, and it's got to be a form of brainwashing. I can't.
Big time.
You can't tell me it's not.
I think 90% of TikTok is just designed to make us stupider.
Absolutely.
That's my thing.
I see intelligent people. Again, I mean, like, if you had to draw a parallel here, and maybe I'm being a bit vicious about this, but I watch the way that people who smoke a lot of weed start to get dumber.
Yeah.
And the same is true for TikTok people. People who are on TikTok a lot, you actually watch them get dumber. There are a lot of things people say, oh no, but there's educational stuff on there. There are a lot of very smart, interesting people on TikTok who teach you how to file your taxes or whatever else it is. I'm willing to believe it. I don't know because I'm not on TikTok at all, but I have in my personal experience, which is not to say that it is a fact or that it can be verified.
You feel like?
But I feel like these people are getting dumber because first of all, their attention span is massively, massively constricted.
Yeah.
Now, I have an attention span problem too, but that predated social media, Twitter, the internet, everything else. That was already a problem for me when I was like your kid's age.
Yeah.
But the ability to actually do what you have to do, focus, take responsibility for stuff, it's like that's being eaten away. So again, we're back to this meta topic, which I brought on earlier of like, we need to teach people again that actions have consequences, that those consequences are your responsibility, that you will be held accountable for those consequences should you make shitty decisions. And therefore your iPad should shock the fuck out of you if you make them.
by your 13
Start
swipe.
it early.
By your 13 swipe.
Like after 5 minutes of TikTok per day, shock.
Electrocution.
If you pick it up, it like feels as if someone has kicked you in the balls.
Well, that's what iPhone is doing with their phones. If you download Instagram, it burns your hand.
Does it?
Well, it's not intentional. It's a
Oh,
bug.
Yeah, bug. Yeah.
A bug.
I wonder if Apple's like definitely in league with Zuckerberg on this one. Dude, it's so nice to have you here.
It's so nice to be
And
here.
we talked such absolute nonsense for 2 whole hours.
It was, I tell you, this was a great show. I wasn't sure what we were gonna
Yeah,
go
I know,
with,
you
but
were
it's
worried.
amazing. Sorry, I'm not in front of my microphone. How very
Wow, that was
unprofessional.
bad. I mean, for someone who actually knows how microphones work.
I know. I was leaning back. I was getting
So
too comfortable.
Well, you didn't know what we would talk about today?
No, I wasn't quite sure why. They just called me up, your producer, and was just like, "Hey, do you want to come and surprise Gareth on the show?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I arrived here this morning not knowing what I was in for, but I was in for joy and chat.
Well,
So
I have had
you
a lot
filled
of
my
fun.
happy cup.
I also had no idea what we were going to talk about today. In fact, I don't know most days what we're going to talk about. That's part of the fun.
It is cool, and I must say it's such a great show, and I love seeing you guys, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you. A lot of people being very critical of my my shirt this morning. Some people saying it's too summery. Looks like a Hawaiian shirt. California. All kinds of stupid
I
comments.
quite like it.
Thank you. At least someone here has a bit
You're
of
from
taste.
Cape Town. You know.
Yeah, Bon Iver. It's pretty much Bon Iver.
You know what? That's pretty much my entire wardrobe, right?
Really?
Yeah, I've got shirts, different.
I like
patterns.
that. Yeah, because I'm always wearing the plain black or white,
White, black, grey. Yes.
Because I try to keep it simple. This morning I was like, ugh, to put on those. I'm already miserable enough. Let me at least pretend to
I
be
have
happy
ones
with
with
this.
like a billion flamingos on it, and it's just my
Shit.
favorite thing.
Must be very
You have to wear
difficult look at
sunglasses
you. Yeah.
to look at. Yeah.
It's
But it's
quite-
gorgeous.
quite frightening. It's like when you drive and the sun is in the back windscreen of someone else's car and you're like, can't see. All right. Anyway, thank you, everybody. It's been lots of fun. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.